think the biggest thing people are trying to say is like you have to use an attribution tool or you're completely dead in the water. It's like Facebook is still the ad platform. It still needs to get the data back. It still needs to read that data to optimize to push it to newer people or similar people that are purchasing. There's that whole like that feedback loop that needs to happen for Facebook to be Facebook. Okay. Attribution tools is more for the marketer to understand and validate what is happening on these platforms, right? You shouldn't live and die by it, but at least validate the events that are happening in platform so that you can make better informed decisions.
We're back with another episode of Adspend. As you can see, we have a new guest. We're actually going to be taking on a different little format with a rotating third chair. We're going to be bringing in crushers. And I'm with my man with the plan, as always, in the fancy new studio, if I might add, with the fancy new gear from the Geek Out Miami that he attended. Let's go, Ash Milwani. And
What's
then
going on, guys?
we got the man with the plan, also at Geek Out, also one of my favorites. We double geeked out now that I think about it, because we met at Geek Out proper, didn't we?
Yeah.
I totally forgot about this. Oh my gosh, but we have here to drop what are we talking about? Dynamics, the categories, a whole bunch of craziness. We're going to talk about what to do in these kind of times. Trey Jossie, everyone. You see that shit? We're getting professional here. We're getting
It's
better.
Amazing.
We're getting better. We got mics. We got crazy guests. Yeah, season 2, exactly. It's a sequel, kids. But all joking aside, Trey, thank you so much. For people that don't know you, which they should, kind of give people kind of your background, your specialities, what you've done in the past. So I think the kids call this credibility indicators. And then we'll start jamming.
Yeah, I don't have any issues flexing for 30 seconds. So yeah. I'm Shrey, founder and CEO of a company called Good Peeps. So we're a full stack, full service marketing agency for CPG brands, food, beverage, supplements, alcohol, that are trying to scale both on digital and in retail. So think DTC, think Amazon, think e-retail, as well as then think traditional retail. I'll give you the puncher soon, not yet. Prior to that, I actually used to be on the brand side, because most agencies actually sucked. So I used to be brand side. I used to be the head of digital and growth at a company called Healthy Kombucha. We just recently got acquired. Before that, used to be the head of marketing and growth at a company called Nugs, which is now Simulate, that like plant-based chicken nugget brand. And then before that was head of digital at a company called Cha Cha Matcha, that like super vibey matcha spot that you can go to in LA and in New York. And then now, our clients kind of range from, supplement brands like Cage Muscle to, alcohol brands like Flying Numbers. So, we do everything in the better for you wellness category.
Amazing. Well, thank you for coming on the show. We are super happy to have you. Where do you guys want to jump in?
I mean,
what are we seeing right now?
Yeah.
Shrey, take it away. I mean, I think the consensus this week, the week before Memorial Day weekend, a lot of marketers are seeing some iffy performance. I know we are. It was almost night and day from like Sunday to Monday, and usually Mondays are like the slower days, but it was like really bad. So, what are you guys seeing? What do you think people should be focusing on? Because I have my answer, but would love to hear what your thoughts are.
So we're actually seeing like a complete split between our two like types of companies. So I think it's all about like consumer perception for how they react to Memorial Day for your category. So a lot of products that are, let's call it supplements, let's call it food, let's call it things that are more general lifestyle or house, like home products. Everybody's kind of getting ready for that like big sale moment where it's like, I'm just going to go drop the credit card, get as many points as I can and spend every single dollar that I have. And then there's the alternative where we're actually seeing better performance, like significantly better performance for some of our like alcohol, beverage, stock up products where, we've really shifted a lot of our messaging to 2-day delivery, same day delivery, get it before Memorial Day. And that's actually been kind of flipping the switch of like everybody's now doing their stock up, earlier in the week versus when the sale drops. So that's what we're seeing. But for the brands that are hurting, it's definitely not helping with, let's call it like all the market dynamics, CPM skyrocketing, as well as in just general consumer behavior. Let's say like kind of pulling back a little bit because they're getting inundated with TikToks every 6 seconds that the market is crashing. So yeah, I mean that's what we're seeing right now.
So basically, you're saying it's not the platforms; it's truly just buying behavior right now.
I think it's everything stacking at once. Like I think that even for the brands that are doing well, like their CPMs are still increasing month over month,
Yeah.
quarter over quarter. I think that those platforms are still getting more expensive. Like Snapchat earnings just came out. That's going to go and hurt Facebook. That's going to go and hurt Google. That's going to go then increase those companies' objectives to try to scale revenue, which will then have them bump up their CPM. So we'll be on the receiving end of that side. But I think that you guys are now running into this added layer for certain categories on the consumer pullback in general with market, and then even more pullback for other smaller categories, or let's call them more niche categories for sale. So I would say, yeah, if your ad accounts aren't doing too hot this week, kind of put it through those couple of filters before you go and like freak out thinking your business is going to fall apart.
Yeah. No, I mean, for us, like we were gonna launch I mean, again, right? For those of you who don't know me, we run a health and wellness brand, collagen, protein, bunch of supplements. So this week was a little tough for us, and it makes sense, right? Buying behavior is a little bit different. Add on market conditions and this and that, and macroeconomic factors and unfortunate stories that are happening in the country right now. I think the biggest thing that, like you said, to kind of make sure we're plugging up these holes where ideally we were going to launch our Memorial Day sale on the weekend, right? But it almost seems like everyone already started like over this previous weekend. So literally yesterday we kind of round up the team. We said, all right, well, we need to kind of put the sale out now. Obviously everything that was due on Thursday needs to be due 4 hours ago. So kind of, rushing and getting things set up. But I mean, today, like, honestly, even switching over to the sale, like it's not that much better. It's still not as good as the previous week. And that's the thing. Like even Monday, like I spoke to some of you guys, it's like we're seeing like a 30% drop in like conversion rate and like revenue. And it sucks because we're also gearing up to spend more with, retail efforts and this and that. And yeah, like seasonality plays into, the part of it where like, all right, it's summertime.
Yeah.
This is like, the summer after COVID, people are getting out, doing things, like they don't really care about their health and as much anymore. So it's like summer is that lull for supplements, but we thought we would, at least with the processes that we've put in place, testing more creatives, landing pages, this and that, we thought that maybe we would see a little bit of like a dip, but not that much of a dip. So now it's a little bit worrying, but I mean, it totally makes sense where it's like one thing after the other, after the other, after the other. You kind of have to like, well, what do we do now? Right. Like in your opinion, like what's the best way to kind of go about it? If media buying, like there's only a certain amount of things you can do to hack your way, not even hack your way, but like what can you focus on in this time?
Yeah. So I think you said something that was really important to call out, which is like, and I think what you're seeing in Memorial Day is simply a copy and paste of what was happening during Black Friday last quarter, right? So what happens at Black Friday, ads started way earlier. Everyone was spending more aggressively on Black Friday, and the impact actually for the first time ever, in 10 years, did Black Friday do less revenue year over year. And this was the lowest I think it had been in like 2 or 3 years before that. So I think that you're starting to see that during these big sale periods. I think that consumers, now that they've just been inside for so long, there isn't that like build up behind these like big, like, oh my God, I can't wait for Memorial Day weekend. Because like, what are most of us doing? Probably hanging inside, maybe going for a walk, maybe hanging with some friends. So I think that those big like, spike peak moments of sales, I think we'll need to shift the way that we kind of think about them. But we're actually plussing up on a lot of our brands from a influencer, organic, product seeding, activations perspective. Meaning that what we're actually seeing a lot of success on is that like we have like an awesome affiliate program for one of our other brands. These guys are in the beverage space, and so we shipped as much product as we could to these guys to really cut through the kind of like noise and frequency of Memorial Day ads to just saying like, hey, there's this really cool thing that's going on from this brand. Every single cool influencer is talking about it. And like that did this for us, where it's like we're taking advantage of things like still TikTok virality, taking advantage of things like really getting segmented with our emails and getting, a little bit more deeper with kind of more behavioral retargeting or kind of hitting them with emails. And that's what's like really helped. I think that, and we've actually done this for a couple of our other brands, switching off of sales or switching off from the strategy of like, do we have these big like peak moments from these big Memorial Day sales and things like that, and moving into like, how do we scale our evergreen acquisition as much as we can, and then during those inefficient periods scale actually down, because we don't have to make up revenue all of a sudden. We're focusing on like what our accepted ROAS is, and then just spending against that as much as we can while it's there. So yeah.
Got it. So at least for us, we should probably just focus on profitability at the moment.
Yeah.
Fair
because
enough.
if you're going to be fighting it, what it also does, right? And like this is the thing that I hate and love about sales, is that it completely fucks up your retargeting and remarketing audiences for like the following weeks. Like you go through this like huge refractory period where now like everybody who would have been in that purchase intent, if they didn't buy from a 20 or 30% off sale with a couple of free products, they're not going to want to with evergreen messaging. So then performance is going to look even worse. So it's like, and that's not going to help like anybody here, where it's like with the way that we're going about it, it's just keep it evergreen. And like, if there's those moments on email and SMS with our engaged consumers that we can pump sales, let's go for it. Or if it's a big moment for the category, new year, new you, things like that, that's where we'll show up big. Like that's where we'll go in.
I love that.
Yeah.
And just to interject, Ash, sorry to cut you off, but I really like the idea of that, because when I always think about these sales, in a way, you're just pulling sales forward, right? And so a lot of times, not only are you going to pull the sales forward, you're going to pull them forward at a discount. Furthermore, the CAC is going to be higher because you're competing against people that can actually just dump insane amounts of money into ads that don't really care. They just want to be omnipresent or so on and so forth, or just have budgets that you can't compete against. And so you just like, when you start to do the math, it just doesn't work out. And then a lot of times, because I love the Black Friday analogy, because a lot of times the worst thing I see is like, you give your biggest discounts to your best customers. And so it's just like, well, what are you doing here? What's going on? These people want to give you way more money, and you're taking less money from them, and you're stocking them up, which then perverts the sales cycle. So now they don't have to buy from you for another 3 months. And so it just totally distorts all of your economics, not to even touch on all the targeting that you're talking about, Shrey, of like, everything just gets perverted. And for what? You know what I mean? A baby bump of this, and then so I'm with you. I think that sales are okay and promotions are great, but you really need to understand what the goal is. And like, if the goal is to move top line revenue and just need cash flow, hey, whatever. That it is what it is. You know, there's no judgment there. But I think understanding how this impacts your profitability, not only now, but in the next business cycle, is really important to understand how you're deploying paid media capital, and then how are you kind of pricing these types of sales, promotions, and so on and so forth. Because I've just seen so many people just go in and like, oh my God, look how good I did. And then like December, like to do the Black Friday analogy, you know, oh, I did so great in Black Friday, and then December is the worst month ever. It's like, okay, that's fine. But like, you know, make sure that you understand what you're giving up and what you're getting.
Yeah. I know one point to that is what you said, right? It's like you're literally offering a discount to people who are already loyal followers and VIP customers. So one thing that we wanted to do is, instead of a discount, we're just trying to maybe create bundles of other products that are a little bit probably lower movers, right? So things that kind of resonate with the summer. So we have a detox product, a carb blocker. So it's like fight the summer bloat, or like indulge, but at least block some carbs. So it's like, it's going with the theme of what's upcoming, but then also you're not devaluing the entire, like your entire customer base, where it's like, all right, well, 25% off. And it's like, well, now you're going to expect that from now till forever. So definitely a great point there.
And you didn't cut into your main killers of collagen, where you're moving other products, where it's great. Because like, if you don't sell the product, that's fine. And if you do sell the product, in a way, you're happy because you're moving inventory that you probably wouldn't move otherwise. So I think that's big brand energy there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing, I kind of mentioned this on Twitter yesterday, is like, so we're always running evergreen offers. So the main one is 20% off and 2 to 3 free gifts. Again, the way that we do it is that we're marking up the product price on the landing page so that when the discount hits, it's technically the same amount if you find it on the regular website, right? So we're not devaluing it in a way, whereas like people will still get it at the same price. But all we did is we went from special offer today to like Memorial Day sale with that same offer. So one, the messaging is still tailored towards a sale, but then it's also suited for this week's theme of MDW. You know what I mean? So that's the other thing that we tried to do. But obviously, acquisition on that front is a little tough. It helped slightly. It's obviously not going to move the needle that much, but I mean, unfortunately, we have to bring back budgets and then just focus on the retention part of it right now.
Have you guys tracked what happened to LTV against slashed price new customer intro offers versus sale week, same offer, same line item price?
Yeah, I mean, this is where we'll figure it out, right? So, for example, last year we were running with like 0 discounts, like at all, no offers, no nothing, and it was like a really good time, like up to where iOS update happened, right? So every launch, so our whole strategy last year is we dropped a product every 2 weeks, new flavor expansion, this and that, and each launch did very, very well, right? Up until our customer acquisition rate started to decline in like Q4. So now Q1, Q2 are ramping back up, and we're hoping that the next product launch, we'd start to see those big bumps from like product launches. But again, I think that'll be our test because we've been acquiring customers at that like mentality of like offer. So we'll see how it does. But I mean, I have a feeling that they'll probably still do decently well, regardless.
You guys are also running into like seasonality where it's like
Mm-hmm.
you've probably been ripping for the past 2 quarters on like stock up moments, new year, new you. And then now it's getting into summer and it's like your accepted ROAS should probably have like some seasonality to it to allow you guys to scale. So yeah, those are all things that are just stacking.
Yeah. But then you change up your marketing angles, right? It's just like beat the summer blow, you know, like see if you can still get people to somewhat consider their health during the summer, you know? But I mean, you go through it. That's pretty much it. And it really comes down to also the ads too. I mean, especially during this time, influencer marketing is so key for like these seasonal bumps because like it's not based on an algorithm, right? It's fully based off of like, here's my referral, here's what I'm doing with my life, and like I want to share this with you. Then people are like, oh shit, okay, fine. Like I can still incorporate this into my daily routine through the summer. And I think people need to see that happen. Whereas like the algo is like, all right, we're probably pushing better suited products and ads to consumers at the moment.
Something that we did on one of our brands that I'm going to try to pitch. This was not my idea. Somebody at one of those brands pitched it to us, which was we calculated the cost of doing Memorial Day. So with that 20% off, what we thought the CPAs would look like and what we knew our repeat rates would look like 3-6 months. So we would know what our loss and payback would be because of that first promo with the lower repurchase rate. And we took all of those dollars into a really big YouTube and influencer campaign. And right now we're gonna beat revenue targets and not having to use promos for Memorial Day, which is just like it unlocked additional capital. We know that people that are coming in through influencer have a higher LTV, and so we were just able to just prove that off with LTV 6-month payback because that's how their business was working. That let's just lean in here because we know that we could do a quick little sprint, and that cut through a lot of the Memorial Day noise pretty well.
That's awesome. This is probably for the beverage brands you said. Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's super strong. I love that. I'm actually going through some analysis right now with some brands to do basically the LTV stuff coming up with, I mean, obviously it's a little way out, but understanding how the kind of same but different, but how Black Friday discount, like how do those people actually materialize into LTV? Like people that use the Black Friday discount codes, like are they Grouponers or are they literally just buying that November, stocking up? And again, it's not good or bad. It's just to your point, Trey, like if you can mobilize this budget and it's the same amount of budget, but one, you don't give up any sauce and you're penetrating another channel, and that other channel that you're getting distribution on is actually a higher LTV channel, like it's like net win. Like you're starting to really be able to combat some of this like pearl clutching that we're seeing because of the macroeconomic headwinds. And then to your point too, seasonality, like the old joke of the best marketers are made in the summer, because you actually have to be good. Like in the third and fourth quarter, it's such a bull market that as long as the fundamentals are there, you're usually going to do decent. Like there's a magnitude of decent to great, but you're usually not doing bad because there's just so much purchase intent that you just get your butterfly net out and start grabbing.
What are you guys doing, Ash, from like what we've been able to start to pull some more interesting data behind is like with digital, there's so much now mystification with all of our first party data, second party data. But what I think a lot of people forgot was that your retailer data is so rich, right? Basket affinity data, kind of competition data, or competitor brand data, stuff like that. What we've actually been able to do with some of our other guys to drive some efficiencies is actually figure out what our basket affinity for our products are, and then integrate that into our advertising, into the landing pages in some way. Hey, if you're stocking up for Memorial Day and the image and the signage has, let's call it our protein powder, we'll have a couple of other things that might be in your basket that we know that your basket affinity has. Like, how are you guys up until this point using retailer data to kind of help for you guys on D2C?
No, it's a really good question. I mean, the biggest thing with, and it's tough because like we just launched, so it's like I don't have too much data to kind of back this up. But I think the biggest thing that we're trying to do right now is, and this might be kind of like away from the question, but like even bundling, right? So like the data that we're getting from like Triple, where it's like you can see like the most like commonly added products together. What we're doing right now is at least testing how do we, one, increase our AOV, right? And is the best way to do that through bundling, or is it offering more of the same product, right? So one of the tests that we're doing right now is we're doing a few TikToks where it's like, oh, I just got my Avi haul, and instead of just talking about one product, we're going to talk about 1, 2, 3, and it's like, this is really good for hair, skin, and nails. This is really good for bloating. This is really good for sleeping, right? And then that going to a landing page, like you said, which is a collection of everything. So one, I mean, but again, it'll be based off of what the products people have been purchasing together, and have, I guess, also, Triple showing us, these certain products have a higher LTV, but then also these products are being bundled together with this. So it's like you have like the answer right there, where it's like, all right, we'll put these together, showcase people buying it, example on TikTok, and then send them to a landing page, bundle builder, quiz, and then that's probably the best bet to do it.
You can also pull what your IRL bundles are through Vitamin Shop, through GNC. Like, we just ask our buyers, right? It's like, hey, what are you seeing people buy more and more of together? And like what we're seeing is that, like, hey, a lot of people are actually now treating their supplements in kind of two, let's call it buckets. One being their like total body wellness, and then two almost being like a gym wellness, category of product. And so like we know that for us on the Cage front, our total body wellness like stacks are like our greens powder, our glutamine for recovery, our some of these like total wellness things. And like we never thought of that until we just asked GNC, our person there, and they were like, yep, we're just seeing these types of bundles just naturally happening now more and more. And so we're now going to bring that into our creative.
Is that something? Do you see the similarity between like the retail and D2C?
I think
what retail kind of validating it?
It gives you good seeds to test out on D2C front. I think that like there's some stacks that you can only kind of like, there's like some form to that retail experience between like a Vitamin Shop and a GNC, where like you also have that person that's there that's kind of like pushing other products and kind of pushing those kind of bundles for you, either through incentives or because they genuinely just like the product. So I think that adds some amount of it. But what we do is just we just focus on like what are the things that you guys are just naturally seeing happen versus what are your kind of like pushed on promo products. And we ask them to say like, what are you guys seeing being pushed on promo more versus what's naturally occurring, so that we can just try to use those as like little indicators to see if there's success. Sometimes we'll see some awesome like success, but sometimes if I get an idea from somebody saying that they're starting to see like more herbal supplements get bundled up together, I can use that as like an inspo point, but for some of our bundles, but that one failed for sure.
I love that. I've never heard of that. I'm super not hip to. I know what an end cap is, and that's kind of like the extent of my retail knowledge. So, can you, for the kids out there asking for a friend, explain what basket affinity is?
Yeah, so basket affinity is there's a couple types of it, but the one that everyone uses in our category is like if you're in a grocery store and you have like your basket in hand or like your cart, what are the things that you're throwing in your cart when you're buying, let's call it like an obvi protein powder? Like, what are the things that people are buying? Are they buying more produce than normal people? Are they buying more like bars and wellness products? Whenever they're going to those retailers, like what are those products that they're buying your products with? And it gives you a bunch of ideas of like, number one, who that consumer is, right?
Yep.
If you know that it's somebody that's buying, let's call it a protein bar, and those people are buying like a shit ton more meat, more protein, more total kind of let's call it like higher protein diet, like how to message that, and who that consumer base is, versus let's call it like your collagen protein powder, which might have more of a basket affinity towards like produce, towards like total wellness products,
a yoga
stuff
mat,
like that. Yeah,
something.
exactly.
Yeah,
so
tracking.
It gives you ideas for how to market to people. Also, it gives you ideas of what brands should you be like partnering up with and doing
Tracking.
activations with. Because if there is a basket affinity between two products, it's a no-brainer. And then it also gives you an ability to understand your competition's basket affinity and see how your basket affinity differentiates against those. And that then has to do a lot with like your marketing, your branding, your product positioning. So yeah, we use a lot of retail to indicate what we should be doing online.
And is there
I love
third
it.
parties, or do you like if you have is there any third parties that you like that people should reach out to that have like a decent retail presence, or how would
I
you
think
integrate this data?
if you don't have a direct buyer relationship, which I would always say that those have been the most powerful for us,
Okay.
Numerator has been a awesome data source. Numerator, what it is that it basically gets a couple million people's worth of surveys, and then it then kind of just is like a huge data dump on like every single retailer in America, category, brand, so long as the brand's doing like a significant amount of revenue, and you could understand who their demographics are, age, gender, income, what they're buying, what other basket affinities they have, and like also like media insights. So like we actually then use a lot of that data on top of that to then target when we are doing like geo-targeted retail support through like paid. We'll actually use that numerator data to then just give us the kind of some of our buckets of like who our like current consumer is, who our competitors consumer is, and who our category consumer is. And those will be the kind of let's call it data points that we use when we're then throwing those up into Facebook for geo-targeted paid social support.
That's incredible. Two more questions and then I'll stop being annoying. One, do you ever use it inversely? Do you ever use DTC to inform retail?
Yeah, I think we use a lot of the time. D2C acts as a, let's call it like weapon for us in retail a lot of the times. Number one, just to show a lot of like who our consumer is, because we just know who it is at this point. To then unlock like secondary displays, other promotional things, other like marketing and merchandising opportunities. So it's really just used there more as a weapon to get us better placement, position, or integrations with our retailers.
Amazing.
Or in the instance of our selling in, then it helps us a shit ton with selling into said retailers.
Amazing. And then the last question was, when you have bundling at stores, are the products together, or do people have are the products categorical? So like, would people have to go to different spots in the store to bundle, or is the whole brand together? Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Like if it's in the instance of like a big retail store and you're thinking about like the bundles, that relates more to basket affinities in a big retailer store.
Okay.
It's like what's everything that they're buying. And then if you're in like, let's call it like a GNC or like a wellness store like that, they'll either have their own internal merchandise bundles that they're pushing, or you'll just
Got it.
see that there are these like, hey, I'm coming into the store because I have this problem. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, what are what's the set of products that then gets pushed onto that consumer? And that's
Okay.
another type.
And then physically, are the products like for you, Ash, are all your Avi products together, or are they separated by category? Like your greens are in this category, your proteins are here, and your collagens are here. So creating that bundle is a lot more friction. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, sometimes it's spread out, right? So like hair, skin, and nails, collagen,
Right.
but then weight management will be on the other side, you know?
Tracking. Okay. How fascinating. What an interesting beast. Incredible. Okay, that's all my retail questions. I knew you were the retail beast, Trey, so I wanted to make sure I hate this phrase, but pick your brain.
I hate
So
that
I have one question on the
It's the
retail
worst.
side, right? How
Yeah.
are you guys, or at least what are you guys doing on the digital end to support retail? Because the one thing that we were doing is like, and I've mentioned this a couple times on the pod, where it's like we're still pushing sales online, but we're giving awareness to our partners like Vitamin Shop through the creative, right? So it's like picking up Avi at a Vitamin Shop, bringing it home, making a shake, explaining the benefits, this and that, but then obviously directing to the landing page. But like, there's still that awareness of like, oh, I can still go and get it from Vitamin Shop. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like, what are other strategies that might be great to kind of give us so that we can strategize too?
So on the paid social front, I think like continuously like scaling on the D2C front and just seeing where your geos like land up is like a solid.
Like just in general, just scaling up.
Yeah, and I think it's also like a reverse situation where you now also understand what cities you're doing well in, so use that as ammo to then go and unlock, retailers in those specific areas, because you're like, hey, we're organically crushing here on D2C. We look 10,000 times bigger than we actually are, and let's call it 95% of people aren't buying when they go to our website, and so like let's kind of fix up that leaky bucket and let's get them over. The reason that I say that in general is because what happens is that like if you were to run like, let's call it an upper funnel metric on paid social, let's call it awareness or anything engagement, Facebook's not optimizing towards getting the right audience, right? It's just going to go for frequency and it's going to go for that CPM optimization. So like say that you were to do geo targeted paid social for GNC, like you're not going to necessarily want to run a bunch of awareness ads over a specific area, because it's just going for as many eyeballs as possible versus as many qualified eyeballs as possible. And that's where your D2C conversion targeting will continue to do that thing for you, where it's like, hey, Facebook is optimizing towards finding the people that are most likely to buy versus optimizing the campaign objective for number of eyeballs. So it's a quality of traffic situation. But we then use other platforms. Like it's not as sexy to say on a podcast with Triple Whale, but things like OTT, OLV, like online video, Hulu, addressable, linear. Those actually do super well for us in a lot of our mass chains, because I can guarantee eyeballs and I can guarantee geos and a certain specific frequency, and you're not able to skip a lot of those units, so it forces that moment. Whereas like if you're trying to blast that up on paid social, I'm just going to swipe to the next thing. But on those things, you can force time.
Are you doing like specific videos for specific retailers, or is it branded and then just saying like, hey, find specific, us in this, and this?
Specific at like now at Target, now at Walmart, now at this. And then another thing that we're doing that's absolutely crushing is we do have some paid social funnels where we work with like a blog like account or a blog channel where it's like, let's think of like Target finds, Costco finds, Whole Foods does it again, Target does it again. Mom accounts that focus on like healthy products for their kids, whitelisting their accounts and their journey of the new product that they found in there. Holy shit, just drives through, like just crushes on engagement. And we drive to a landing page that is extremely experiential focused. I think for some reason, a lot of people, when they thought about the retail funnel, they think about it as just being like let's have a cool ad that has the retailer and then drive it to a store locator. None of the three of us have probably ever used a store locator. And
guilty.
Yeah. And so like I don't know why people are necessarily optimizing towards that. We're really optimizing on like engagement and time on page, and really
Yeah.
just trying to like earn trust in the exact same way that you would through D2C funnel, but introducing more validation as a way to keep engagement on page to then hopefully drive that in-store purchase.
I love that. And let's jump to questions, but I have one last one for you, Shrey. Do you ever use store visits? Do you ever mobilize company budget to run store visit campaigns that are going to get people to come to like for example, like Ash running, store visits to the vitamin shops to buy collagen or something like that, where the economics aren't necessarily great, but they could net you, like you move more product there, so maybe you get a better relationship with the retail, or there's kind of some knock-on effects of that budget, but it's not as like the crack to the top line as a DTC purchase. Can you give me some color there?
Efficiencies definitely happening from a paid search perspective when we're doing that.
Okay.
But from a paid social perspective, I think that it's too like niche of a campaign objective to really focus
Yeah.
on like single store, because like you think about the radius that you might need to throw on that guy, 5 to 10
Yeah.
miles. You're just hitting like a huge market for like a single store. You're probably overspending to drive an additional 10 units per store per
Yep.
week, maybe.
Yep.
So we just hit total areas and then focus more from a retailer after that with our targeting.
I love it. You guys want to go to some questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yep.
Fantastic. All right, let's do quickly, Shrey. What's your ideal checklist when creating a landing page? What are the things you need to go absolutely ready? What are the check boxes that need to be checked to make sure you want to go live and you're happy with it?
First, page load speed. There's nothing
Yep.
worse than a landing page that's slow or janky in any capacity. 2, it's like make it so easy for my thumb and my small hand to be able to click on a CTA on the top right, or like a sticky add to cart. Like those 2 things are like the things that have the biggest impact on our landers right off the bat. And then from there, it's just a healthy amount of product offer and social validation is what does it for us. But we're seeing that like right now, from a lander's perspective, the content buckets, like our listicles are still doing well, advertorials doing well, offer pages are doing well. But the threads through all those guys are just like page load speed, usability, easy to add to cart.
I love it. Ash, would you add anything?
In addition to that, I'll probably talk more about content wise, but the biggest thing for us is following this flow of like, all right, does the traffic feel the congruency from the ad to the landing page, like on the immediate load, right? So does the banner match the angle that's on our ad? Do we have an offer that people are like, all right, let me get to it and see what's going on? Do we address the problem that people are facing that was originally why somebody clicked on the ad? Do we have the solution? Why are we the solution? Do we have a lot of social presence, right? Testimonials, this and that. While we can, for the time being, getting away with before and afters. And then just the value props, right? 30-day money back guarantee. There's a community of 50,000 people. Free shipping, and then boom, like offer, and then just going straight to checkout and just kind of making that whole experience as frictionless as possible. No pop-ups, no chat, no nothing. Just you click on the ad, boom, here's the story, ready to go, check out.
I have a question based on that question for Ash. The way with which you guys are approaching landing pages, content requires so much more innovation, creativity, flow, structure, volume. How are you guys looking at landers? Is it, if it's not broke, don't try to fix it situation where it's like, hey, we know these landing pages are tried and true. Are you guys trying to innovate on the experience in any capacity from a design, experience, tech stack platform? How are you guys thinking about landers in general?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So what I do is I will kind of look around, do some like competitor analysis, see what some of these landers are looking like across the board, put together something on our end. I'll build it out on Shogun, right? I mean, Shogun's great. It's easy to use for me. I'm not a coder. I'm not a developer. I can literally drag and drop a bunch of shit and create a landing page, right? Once I try this format, right, I like to keep it as formatting. So like different blocks in a specific order. So that goes through, it takes the consumer through a journey, right? If I'm happy with that and it's converting, great. I'm going to move it towards the next stage of development, which is our designer is going to make it look branded. And then once that's done, move it to development where we're going to build it out on an actual page on Shopify, where speed is the biggest factor that you're changing there, right? So once we have those finalized versions, I think then I start making iterations on Shogun where it's like I'll put it up on Twitter, like, hey, who's got suggestions for our page? And like, I'll just take a few of the things that I like people are mentioning. Like somebody mentioned smaller buy boxes where you can see all 3 offers on one view versus right now I have one and then you scroll and then another and you scroll and then another. So like those things that I feel like are big enough changes to be on like version 2, I'll then go and recreate on Shogun. But these like tried and true, I try to keep that. The only thing I'll probably change is maybe the main banner, just refresh the graphic that's there. Same offer, same like call outs and everything, but just like if one day, you know, it's more of like a purple vibe or like a pink vibe, so that like 30% of our the traffic that comes there is returning, right? There's a level of retargeting happening on top of the funnel. So those are probably the more high intent people anyways. So at least give them a little bit more refreshed look on the page, you know? So, I mean, hopefully that answers your question.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Awesome, guys. Okay, Shrey, we'll start with you because you're the retail guru. Once you're 9 figures, how do you balance retail and e-com? Are there ways that you're kind of attributing, or like how are you understanding what's moving what for the business?
Yeah, I think you run into this like leaky bucket conversation across like all accounts, retailers, D2C, e-commerce. Like I think it's the same thing that a lot of like, you know, let's call it more mature e-commerce businesses deal with, which is just like how do we deal with leaky buckets with like cross-channel you know, issues, which is just like we're constantly looking, and this is like such a shitty answer because it's like super obvious, but like we have just been looking at it from like a total dollars in, total dollars out. Are we building total new customers, and like what are we seeing happen from like a total marketing efficiency ratio? So not necessarily like our D2C MER, but like what's our total cost of sale and what is that doing to our top line? We can go much deeper into it, but yeah, like we're seeing a shit ton of channel swapping, right? Like if you're a much more mature, let's call it retail brand, the moment that you launch in Costco, a huge amount of your consumers and a majority of your revenue is going to be coming through there because you just simply can't, you know, you're going to always go stock up because of the price. It's just so good there that like, especially protein, right? Like you see that the moment that a brand goes and hits that retailer, it completely shifts their pricing power ability across like other accounts. So you know that you really need to lean in on that channel. So we just constantly look at D2C as like, how does it plug in against our retail business? And we know that it's going to be the thing for like all of our new product innovation, all the fun new flavor launches and all that stuff. But like continue to use D2C as a thing that is like our data hub, and really then just building our LTV customer bases. Once we start to lose efficiencies on like what our ROAS is, we're not going to try to pump it up just for no reason. We'll really then focus it on being like a big LTV profitability play, and then slowly scaling up just to make sure that we're winning in the key markets that we want to, and then building acquisition for where it makes sense. Yeah.
Spot on, man. Living up to your guru retail name. Let's close one more because I know everybody's pushing up against a hard stop today. So how are we supposed to let platforms optimize if we can't trust them? If the in-platform metrics are modeled, and so of course I would put this at the end, drop a bomb on you guys. You know, Facebook's modeling all this and so on and so forth. This is from one of my faves, Jess at Higher Fire Team, but Taylor had a interesting tweet as well on this about estimated action rates or basically bear bid estimated action rates and ranking in terms of how you win auctions and the total value. So you guys have any thoughts here?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing people are trying to say is like, you have to use an attribution tool or you're completely dead in the water. It's like, Facebook is still the ad platform. It still needs to get the data back. It still needs to read that data to optimize, to push it to newer people or similar people that are purchasing there's that whole like that feedback loop that needs to happen for Facebook to be Facebook. Okay. Attribution tools is more for the marketer to understand and validate what is happening on these platforms, right? You shouldn't live and die by it, but at least validate the events that are happening in platform so that you can make better informed decisions, right? So I think Jess mentioned like, oh, is CBO kind of like I think it was like, does triple whale kind of like make CBO non-existent? And it's like, no, to a degree, because one, if you are spending, if a CBO is spending towards one ad set, right? And then within that ad set, it's spending towards 2 ads. Okay. In platform, does it say it's doing well? Okay. Now on triple, does triple say it's doing well? If the answer is yes, then you validated the fact that Facebook is doing what it's supposed to be doing, right? If that's not the case, then you have to go in and probably make a couple of changes so that it is in sync, right? So you're using attribution tool to validate the results that are happening in platform. And when you can sync those two up, that's when you can win. So I don't think it necessarily stops the effectiveness of CBO. Like, it's a great tool to, test and showcase different angles and use it as a way to run your ads. But to say that it's broken now, it's almost like you're just using both things to validate each other. And if things are online, then I think you're good. So yeah.
It's a pretty strong answer. What would you add, Trey?
The other way that we go about validating our, ad platforms too, outside of things like Triple Whale, is that, Ash already had talked about this. He has a new product he has a product that's blacklisted, that's running towards a landing page that's focused on new customer acquisition. And so like, we'll be able to, from like an MER's perspective, just see what's going on from Facebook of like, hey, if we're scaling up, what does new customer look like day over day on that product? Like, that's been like a really awesome directional supporting line for us. Yep. Like, yes, there's all of the campaigns, the modeled AOV, the modeled CPAs, like day to day. Like, if I went and scaled up 10%, 20%, 30%, what am I seeing from a revenues perspective on that single SKU? That's always a really good source of truth for us. And like, what we've also been doing to really look at channel impact is really doing some of these things that we call like scale up weeks, where one week will really just bring up spend on 100%. One of our platforms and seeing what that does to our total funnel. So it's like the things that you would have been doing to test new channels, you're kind of doing those things to test your day-to-day marketing, your CPA and your
smart.
Yeah. I mean, it's essentially OG incrementality testing. Either turn it off or turn it up and see what actually like people are buying, and then you can understand those channel impact, especially if you have fairly consolidated architecture where you don't have a bunch of variables. You can get a pretty good read. Now, I love both of those answers. I think it's spot on. The other thing that people have to remember is like the conversion is definitely important, but the engagement rate's a bigger function of clicks and comments. And so of on-platform metrics. And so yes, to get them to do the terminating event is really important. But the estimated action rate isn't just purchases or signups or whatever the off-platform metric. It's actually clicks and comments. So I don't know if you guys ever seen, but like you put like a dog picture. I used to run ads for a company called WAG, and we made the mistake of putting a puppy in an ad, and like it blew all of my budget because people were commenting, liking it, sharing it, all these in-platform metrics, got 0 signups. And so like the estimated action rate isn't just the kind of terminating event. It's also going to be those on-platform signals. And so you have to be kind of careful in terms of that as well. But I think your guys' answers were a little more eloquent. We're pushing up against it, and I promised to get you guys off. So Shrey, we'll go to you first. Let the people know where they can follow you. How can they get more involved? Are you taking more clients? This time is yours, my
friend. Yes, we are. A couple more. And then you can find me on Twitter, Shrey VJ, SHRAY VJ.
Okay, cool. And how can they get more involved with your agency? Where can they reach out?
It's really just, you find me on Twitter, find me on LinkedIn. I think those are the 2 easiest ways to slide in.
Get into those DMs, people. And then Ash with the fancy new mic. Go ahead and sign off. I see you mentoring everybody. Today. Oh, you sound
Mentor Pass has been doing really well. Really cool calls. So if you are in need of understanding what a good creative process is for your company, how to kind of I'll put that entire thing on autopilot from start to from creation, ideation to setting up ads. I'm your guy to kind of help you maneuver that. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Ashvin Malwani. You can find Avi at Vitamin Shop. If you are by one, go check it out. Send me a picture. You don't have to buy it. Just send me a picture. And yeah, I think that's it for me.
Amazing. Two of my favorite people. Thank you so much for taking the time. If you do want to get more involved with Triple Whale, we are trytriplewhale.com, and then we're on the bird at Triple Whale. Jeez, I'm slipping here. And then Trey, are you on Mentor Pass yet? We need to talk to Kenny.
I'm not. I know. Yeah, him and I.
Kenny,
we were having a dance off the last time we
there.
saw each other.
Oh
Yeah.
man. I should have went.
You should have.
Dang it, Jason. Jason threw me the invite, and I just snubbed him. Unbelievable. Shout out Jason Long. Let's go, Pug. But yeah, guys, and then we also have a fantastic newsletter that goes out every Tuesday, Thursday called Whale Mail. You can subscribe right on our Twitter profile. And that's it. That's another episode of Ad Spent in the books. Again, Trey, thank you so much, man. We need to get you out to Austin. We'll do this in person next time. It'll be fun. It'll be a good time. Awesome. All right, guys. Thanks so much for the time. Ash, we'll see you on the flip. And that's it, everybody. If you enjoyed this episode, go tell your friends to subscribe. And if you want to see us in person, we're also on the YouTubes if you don't just want the honey nectar in your ears. All right, folks. That's it. That's all we got. Thanks a lot. Goodbye.
Later.